Greetings, mortals. Welcome to another session of the Infernal Court in Musical Hell. I'm Diva, your judge, jury, executioner, and this is a thing. Dear Lord of Darkness, why is this a thing? I'm still having a hard enough time wrapping my mind around the fact that the seminal 1933 monster movie King Kong is now a Broadway musical. A show that, based on everything I've seen and heard, has one very large and impressive puppet to recommend it and absolutely nothing else. But even more inexplicable is the existence of a previous and infinitely worse musical adaptation. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the eighth wonder of the bad musical world, our next offender, The Mighty Kong. And I thought Freaky Friday had a lot of people working below their talent level. The Mighty Kong features Jodie Benson in the Fay Wray role, Dudley Moore taking the Mae West Award for Embarrassing Final Film Performance, and songs by, I still can't believe I am saying this, the Sherman Brothers. Yes, Mary Poppins, The Jungle Book, Charlotte's Web, those Sherman Brothers. Why are all these people devoting time and energy to a bad direct-to-video mockbuster? I don't know, and this movie provides zero clues, but we're going to examine the case of the Mighty Kong anyway. After a quick montage of evil savage imagery, believe me, we are just getting started, and a quick shot of our title character, we switch to New York City, complete with the traditional, vaguely Gershwin clarinet riff. Here, a motley crew of sailors prepares the Java Queen for its next adventure.
I got a bad feeling.
Ooh-wee! There's enough ammunition here to blow us all the kingdom come.
The men don't sound very happy, Captain.
And I don't blame them one bit.
Yes, this is pretty typical of the voice acting in this movie, which is sin number one. When it's not stiff, it's over the top, and goofy voices and bad accents abound, including a stereotypical Irish cop in the climax.
Oh, now! Hold your horses, pal! Now, what seems to be the disturbance here?
It's like the casting call for this movie read, "Silly voices required." A radio newscaster, sounding exactly the way you think he does, exposits that tonight is the closing of producer C.B. Denham's latest Broadway venture. And after seeing a sample of it, it's easy to see why.
He beats the bush in Africa and he roams the Asian hills. At the risk to him of life and limb, he always brings us thrills. Woo! It's the rage of
Needless to say, if you were expecting Chim Chim Cheree, this isn't it. But it's hard to tell what the worst part is of this whole mess. The expressionless, nearly identical chorus girls, the hand puppets, the stiff kick line, the people in monkey costumes, the dancing crocodile and lion? It's hard to choose. No wonder the house looks like the audience for Moose Murders.
I'm telling you, Roscoe, closing this show is the smartest thing I've ever done.
I know, I just saw your closing number. But Denham promises that he is on the trail of something amazing for his next show. Problem is, he doesn't have a star, because Greta Garbo told Denham's abnormally large-nosed assistant Roscoe to piss off. Fortunately, an extraordinary scream gets their attention as a nearby young lady is caught in the act of trying to steal some food.
Oh, come on. It's only an apple.
Only an apple? You think these things grow on trees?
Someone will pay dearly for that joke. Denham comes to the assistance of the lady, Ann Darrow, and takes her out to dinner where he pitches his newest project to her.
Poignancy, pathos, and love in the South Pacific.
Sorry, CB, Rogers and Hammerstein have beat you to it. Denham woos Ann to sign with him in sin number 3, appropriately titled, I think, Sign With Me.
Let me be your helping hand, you'll be the Queen of Lotus Land. All you got to do is sign with me.
Pro tip, no argument sounds convincing if it's set to a bad retread of An Actor's Life for Me. Anne looks terribly unimpressed with the whole thing. She doesn't even bother removing that stupid basket they plunked on her head. But hey, she just got caught stealing food, so it's either this or 19 years on a chain gang. So she gets ready to sail with the rest of them.
Hey, Chip, beat it.
Oh great, there's a pet monkey. Is there a rule that every terrible animated remake of a beloved classic needs a monkey? This is Chips, and he belongs to Ricky, cabin boy, and this movie's designated annoying plucky kid. Also among the crew is Jack Driscoll, first mate and first-class asshole.
How can I possibly thank you?
I'll tell you how to thank me. Go to your cabin and stay there. And you, get that monkey out of my sight before I have him keel hauled.
Aye, sir. Of all the ill-mannered, foul-tempered...
Well, there's absolutely no way these two will suddenly develop an improbable attraction to one another. Anne confides to Ricky that she's having second thoughts, what with being attacked by a wild cargo pallet and noticing the equipment for this movie shoot mainly consists of munitions. But she figures, hey, it's a chance at fame and fortune, so what's a little mortal danger? Meanwhile, the crew is also having second thoughts, as one of them recounts a disastrous previous expedition in bad accents and uncomfortable close-ups.
We see this spooky-looking island, poking through the mist. Look just like a skull.
Looks more like Phantom Mask Island to me, but whatever. Anyway, 2 search parties went missing, and the only person to make it back lived long enough to ramble about some monkey god bellowing in rage. He's probably angry because people keep classifying him as a monkey when he's obviously an ape. Seriously, has the librarian taught you nothing? Later, during the requisite ominous storm, Anne helps Ricky out by disguising herself as him and taking food to Captain Aggressively Scottish's headquarters, which allows her to get a nice view of Jack's rampant misogyny.
All I know is ever since we set eyes on her, there's been nothing but trouble. First the foul up at the pier, and now the typhoon. Great.
I don't know if it's the superstitious idiocy that bugs me more, or the fact that Jack is completely oblivious to Anne's hair and full lips peeking out from under her rain hat. Either way, he's sin number 4. And yes, I know some of this is a carryover from the original movie, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. Neither does Anne, for that matter.
Has that egg on your face, Jack?
Clam chowder, actually, and I suppose you two think that was funny.
No, if she had gone full Ramsay Bolton on you, that would have been funny. And since this movie has more issues with women than the average porn magazine stash, the next scene features Anne doing her screen test to the appreciative catcalls of the crew.
Now, you are a Polynesian princess.
Oh, come on, Denham. I know at this point in history, accurate representation in Hollywood is non-existent, but at least give her a black wig. Instead, he gives her this.
She's sweet, dolly up a polly ollie. Sweet, sweet, dolly up a polly ollie.
Gosh, oh golly, I'm Dolly of Papali. I love to swim in Polly Ollie Bay.
I mean, it's just... The animation is terrible, the music is insulting, the animals are somehow the worst cutesy creatures I've seen since the flowers in a troll in Central Park, and poor Jodie Benson! At least Thumbelina gave her a marginally decent love duet. Also, how are they spelling Dolly here? I'm trying to figure out if I should be making a surrealist joke, a Tibet joke, or a Bette Midler joke. After that unusually pointless sequence, Denham reveals to the crew that their ultimate destination is Skull Island itself, and... Oh, sweet Lucifer, will you stop tilting the frame back and forth? They're on a ship. We get it. I shouldn't need Dramamine to watch a stupid kids movie. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, Captain Scottish isn't willing to go on a fool's errand unless his crew consents. Fortunately for Denham, said crew is easily bought with promises of screen credit, so it's off to standard alien island and its ominous fog we go.
But we don't know what we might run into. And what if the natives are unfriendly?
Oh, I'm sure they're decent enough chaps. I'll have a talk with them.
That's the kind of thinking that gets missionaries shot full of arrows. And honestly, I wouldn't mind a similar outcome here. But Denham, having the biggest entitlement complex of the group, leads a team ashore to the nearest native village, which is engaging in some good old-fashioned human sacrifice.
Big Roscoe, lights, camera, action.
Anne is pretty horrified by the scenario and insists on doing something, but Captain Scottish insists on following the prime directive. This thorny moral argument is handily solved by Roscoe and his camera equipment getting slapsticked into disrupting the ceremony.
Olu. I Donny. Boss fella, go long pay. Big job.
Right, let's take a step back and talk about sin number 6. The original King Kong was released in the 1930s, and let's be honest, you can really tell. There's sexism, there's racism, there's colonialism, and while the movie does at least try to demonstrate that the protagonists who espouse these views are very flawed and creating a mess they can't manage, parts of it still haven't aged well. And the thing is, the problematic aspects are so baked into the fabric of the story that it's very hard to work around them. Peter Jackson only had mixed success in attempting it. But at least he tried, which is more than I can say for this movie. Even for 1998, this is pretty opposition-damned embarrassing. Pretty much the only concession to changing values is replacing the Asian cook with Ricky the cabin boy. And frankly, that cure is just about as bad as the disease. Captain Scottish speaks enough stereotypical pidgin to communicate with the natives, who immediately take an interest in Anne. This causes Jack to get all overprotective of her because he never met a toxic male behavior he couldn't emulate. Fortunately, a few gunshots are enough to make the generic Tiki tribe go all, "Ooh, thunderstick!" and give the landing party space to get away. This episode apparently somehow softens Anne and Jack's feelings for one another, because next thing we know, they're singing of their love in the moonlight.
In dreams I've seen you every night. Though I'm no dreamer, I've dreamed of you.
Well, good to know the Sherman Brothers can write a generic 90s pop ballad as well as anyone. Sin number 7 for this song, partially because of how unconvincing it is at selling Jack and Anne's relationship, but mostly for the imagery, which approaches glitter levels of terrible and nonsensical. Random fireworks, sparkly dancing people, and what I guess is supposed to be the couple's silhouette in the moonlight, but looks like a couple of deformed Dr. Seuss characters. After declaring improbable love for Jack, Anne goes and leans against the side of the ship, the better to be abducted by the natives. Fortunately for her, a telltale necklace is left behind. Unfortunately for her, Ricky is the one who discovers it.
It's gotta be Anne's. I can't picture any of our crew.
Not the trimmest sail on the ship, our boy Ricky. But when his quest to return Anne's jewelry turns up Anneless, he runs to the helm where fortunately the other characters are quicker on the uptake.
You follow with your gas box.
Right, old sport.
What do you want us to do, Captain?
Get out of the way!
Shut up, Wesley.
But being the bratty kid of the movie, Ricky feels it's his duty to do something.
You know, we were never actually ordered to stay aboard. And Mr. Driscoll always says, if nobody gives you an order, just pitch in wherever you can.
And why are we spending all this time with the kid, and where here is the title character? Seriously, we've already passed the point in the running time when Kong showed up in the original, and that movie was a half hour longer than this one. Instead, we're dithering about with the assorted collection of idiot humans. It's not building suspense, especially since the story is such a pop culture staple there's no suspense to build. It's just plain terrible plotting. But finally, the concerto for generic ritual chanting and screams reaches its climax, and the fabled Kong appears. Oh, come on, do you really need to drop rocks on her? I know she's screaming a lot, but it's hardly Willie Scott level. At this point, the movie shifts into fast-forward mode, as if it realized it was running behind and wanted to get through this part as soon as possible. So Jack realizes they can't shoot Kong because that might kill Anne, so he tries to cut the giant ape off and discovers what is supposed to be a Lost World-style paradise, but is just a waterfall and a pteranodon and a triceratops that attacks him. Meanwhile, Kong paws at Anne's hair, battles a T-Rex, gives Anne a bath, and defends her from assorted wildlife. Jack shows up while Kong is wrestling a python, is that what the kids are calling it these days, and helps her escape just as the volcano blows. Denham and Roscoe bumble around a bit and use some spare celluloid to bungee jump to safety. Eventually, everyone winds up on the beach, and a couple of gas bombs to the kisser make Kong pass out. Whew. Don't make me repeat that. Captain Scottish wants to get clear of the lava-engulfed puking Skeletor Island, but Denham is reluctant to leave behind his prize find. But even if the captain were to agree, how would they get a 60-foot ape onto the ship? Luckily, Denham has a plan, which is...
What Broadway producer sold out opening night without revealing one word about his new show? An import from the South Seas yet.
A convenient scene change. Okay, movie, fuck you then. With Kong in chains and a press team front and center, Denham is all set to reveal the 8th wonder of the world. But not before he makes the audience sit through more bad production numbers.
She found him on a forgotten isle where dinosaurs survive.
Hey, that's the same song from earlier. Did Mama Rose direct this? Anne isn't too thrilled with this whole business, what with the bad solo she's given and the noble animal in chains and all, but Denham, oblivious ass that he is, assures her Kong will make out the better for it.
And it's not as though he's just working for bananas alone. I've got my eye on 1,000 acres spread for him in South Jersey.
Oh, he can't survive in Jersey. Nobody can.
There you are, the one good line in the movie. Now you don't have to sit through it. Finally, we come to the point where Kong makes his Broadway debut. Man, and you thought Patti LuPone had issues with people filming in the audience. While Anne is bundled off to questionable safety, Kong rampages through the streets of New York, creating confusion and chaos. Finally, Kong tracks down Anne, nabs her from her hotel room, and makes his way to the Empire State Building, where Anne, easily distressed damsel that she is, almost immediately slips off and dangles on the ledge. The biplanes come out to deal with the creature, but this being a kids' movie, Denham has a more humane alternative of 2 blimps and a net in reserve.
JCB, do you think it'll work?
It'll work. It's got to work.
Actually, no it doesn't. Jack saves Anne before she falls, everyone gathers around the downed Kong, and Denham delivers one final blow to the original film's dignity.
It wasn't the fall that killed Kong. It was beauty that killed the beast.
Oh, really? You're going to drag that classic line through the muck? I'm not lying down for that. Yes, Kong has survived, and everyone copes with the large displaced wildlife and the widespread destruction he caused by... Wait, what the fuck? That's it? Seriously? That's how you end your movie? I thought you weren't going to piss me off enough to push me to the 10-sin mark, but there you go. You got in right under the buzzer. Congratulations. I repeat, why is this a thing? It's one thing to make an animated remake of King Kong. It's another thing altogether to make an animated remake where the title character barely shows up, the characters we do see are infuriatingly awful, the script has no idea what kind of tone it wants to set, and the musical numbers are an embarrassment to everyone involved. It's a painful experience all around, so the Court of Musical Hell condemns those responsible to the only fate I can think of that would be even worse. An eternity of C.B. Denham shows. So let it be recorded. This session of the Infernal Court in Musical Hell is now adjourned.